All right, well, Jim, let's go now to the big ratings for AEW Dynamite. Now, it's important to note,
Yes.
this week is the first week we will be having numbers from Nielsen's new Big Data plus panel methodology, as it's being called, which, according to Nielsen, as we said earlier, is supposed to be more accurate, and on its face you would think it would be, than what they previously have been doing. So the number we're getting now is a number that Nielsen is saying is more accurate, and that although it'll apply now and going forward, you have to wonder what that says about the number before this point, and how accurate that was, and how this applies to that.
The question I have, speaking for the layperson out there in the audience who just is here just to get laid, is there a way that going forward, are they just giving this number out and that's the one we're going to get? Or is there some mathematical figure, some way one of these really motivated people can figure out how to give us the old number just for shits and giggles, like that it would have been back in the old days in the before four time, so that we can compare and see what, because this is technically, and I'm even taking up for AEW here because they're going to get hurt worse than WWE, because WWE's numbers are all bigger to start with. They got further to fall, as one of my old financial advisors used to say. But to be fair, we're comparing them on a new scale rather than the scale that was being done before. So yes, there's going to be a difference. Is there any way to compare to the old number is my question.
I don't know if there's a direct correlation between the old number and this number and how you reconcile that, but again, what the new number is, based on what Nielsen's telling us, you would think is more accurate, and if you applied it to the previous last few years, would have changed some of the perception when people said, hey, the booking's bad, and someone said, no, they got 700,000 viewers, the booking's great. But let's go to these numbers, Jim. These numbers, AEW Dynamite on TBS Wednesday, October 1st, 2025, 8 to 10:30 p.m. On average, did 465,000 viewers.
Holy shit!
Welcome to the new reality.
Wow. All right. Well, you know what? And I'm saying this right now, so remind me, I said it later when I forget about it. But we've got to start doing some WWE numbers too now to see how much they're going to be affected and whether this is an anomaly, because they did 400 and something thousand with the old methodology here several weeks ago. So I think we need to start looking at both numbers, what they've been up until this point and what happened when the earthquake hit. But happy 6th anniversary.
Yeah, and we'll discuss that maybe on the drive-thru, how this hit has affected SmackDown and NXT. Those are the two examples we can use. Once again, last week's number was 638. The 4-week average had been 577. Those were low numbers. This is significantly lower than that. But of course, it doesn't count Max, where there must be millions of viewers consuming this dead product. Jim, let's go to the quarter hours. These were compiled by WrestleNomics. Wow. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. The Young Bucks angle. Josh Alexander and Young Bucks versus Brodito and Kenny Omega with picture-in-picture. 543,000 viewers.
Good Lord.
147 in the key demo. That's where they're going to get killed, because this is going to expose the key demo number, that it's not as high as these networks thought it was, not just for AEW, for WWE too, and that's where advertising dollars are based around, or that's what advertising dollars are based around. So as that number starts being exposed and dying here, the effect on wrestling will be very interesting, and it may not be a positive one. Jim, quarter 2, 8:15, 8:30 p.m. Continuation of Alexander and the Bucks versus Brodito and Kenny Omega. The post-match with the Jurassic Express, Andrade, and Don Callis. 530,000 viewers.
Well, this is, again, a different animal, but it's significant that that's the smallest drop from first quarter to second quarter ever. We got that going for them. They didn't lose but 13,000 people, and it's normally a lot more than that, but they've started in the fives.
Before we go even further with this, it's not that these numbers seem unreasonable. Like looking at these numbers, knowing that we've discussed these ratings week after week for a couple of years now, a few years, this seems kind of like where you would have thought they would have been if things hadn't been shown as skewing higher for a long time. But we go to quarter three,
yes,
8:30 to 8:45 p.m. It says video. I'm not sure what that video was. Maybe, that was the 6-year anniversary
sixth
video.
anniversary video where I didn't particularly care. They didn't create art, and it was what it was.
Well, it was nice to see Dynamite when they had fans and excitement and stars. But a video, an ad break, Mark Briscoe's backstage promo, and the start of Orange Cassidy versus Kyle Fletcher. 510,000 viewers, also 155 in the key demo. That's the high point in the key demo.
To be honest, I don't know about the total numbers, but the pattern is what I would actually expect this show to be doing until the end, as we've said it for a while, and the other numbers kind of bore it out, but this bears it out more than they did, is that the people who are motivated to watch this show it's a lower number than before, but they are going to stick with it as long as they can until there's just no hope.
Well, we go to quarter four, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The continuation of Fletcher versus Cassidy with picture-in-picture ads, and the post-match with Hologram, or at least Hologram Bizarro, and the Don Callis family. 517,000 viewers.
Yeah, 543, 530, 510, 517. They would have killed for that kind of consistency when they started in the 9s and 8s.
And it is important to note, big baseball game that aired this night. Red Sox and Yankees actually did the highest number for a baseball game on ESPN in forever. So there was competition, although...
Do you think there's a big Cincinnati Reds fucking AEW wrestling crossover audience?
Well, I'm not sure, but let's go now to the big 9 o'clock hour. Quarter 5, 9 to 9:15 p.m. Mercedes Monet's backstage promo, as bad as ever. An ad break, and the start of Adam Page and the Ops versus the Death Riders. 490,000 viewers.
Ouch. Okay, they lost 27,000 at the top of the hour. That is the biggest loss they've had at this point. Not good.
Not good at all. We go to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. The continuation of Page and the Ops versus the Death Riders with picture-in-picture. Jet Speed, Willow Nightingale, FTR and Stokely's promo, and an ad break. 484,000 viewers.
And another 6,000 down. They are still only 59,000 down from the start of the show after an hour and a half. But the problem is they started so low to begin with. But I have to think that after quarter 8, the thing is going to plummet like a stone because they had a couple of ratings killers in there at that point.
Well, Jim, we now go to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. Adam Page's backstage promo. Tony Storm versus Ty Mello with picture-in-picture. And the post-match. 477,000 viewers.
Another 7. It's a chip. CHIP, not the other type of cracked piece.
Okay, you were done there? I wasn't sure where you were going.
I didn't want to use bad terminology.
Let's go now.
Talking about another small hunk that's been chipped out of the number.
Let's go now to quarter 8. I remind you, we have 2 segments, 30 minutes overtime here. 9:45 to 10 p.m., quarter 8. The Sammy Guevara-Eddie Kingston promo, an ad break, Samoa Joe's backstage promo, and GOA versus the Swirl.
Here's where it's going to go.
With picture-in-picture ads. 402,000 viewers.
Ouch. I didn't know it would go that far, but I hope the passengers weren't hurt when they hit that air pocket and had that sudden drop.
We go now to quarter 9, 10 to 10:15 p.m. The Demand Hurt Syndicate live angle. Chris Statlander's backstage promo.
The Demand. That's what it was.
The problem is there's no demand. Okada, Takeshita, and Don Callis' backstage angle. An ad break. And the start of Darby Allin and Chris Statlander versus Marina Shafir and Wheeler Yuta. 356,000 viewers, 96,000 in the key demo.
Oh, sweet Mary and Joseph.
Yeah, I have to say it too here because it drove me crazy, and I've brought it up before, but it happened again. Marina Shafir stepped on the thumbtacks in the match, and that looks as painful as any thumbtack thing anyone takes a bump into, just actually stepping on them. The announcers started laughing. Go back and watch that. As soon as it happened, Excalibur starts chuckling. That's your lead announcer. That's part of the problem. He's a fucking amateur. But Jim, finally, quarter 10, 10:15 to 10:30 p.m., continuation of Darby and Statlander versus Marina and Yuta. Post-match with Tony Storm and the Death Riders. 338,000 viewers. 97,000 in the key demo.
So they started with 543,000 people and lost 205,000 of them. That's fairly close. That's 40%, ain't it, or more? It's almost close to 50%, but Jesus.
It's a scary picture now for wrestling. Just real quick here at the end of these. NXT on CW, Tuesday, September 16th, 737,000 viewers. Tuesday, September 23rd, and I think this is the first week that it may have been affected, 617,000 viewers. This past week, September 30th, 572,000 viewers. Wrestling shows are hemorrhaging audiences with this new measurement tool. That's not good for wrestling.
Well, and if this is more accurate, they may not be hemorrhaging the audiences. They may just be getting caught with their hand in the fucking cookie jar.
That's true. That's true. And we'll stay on top of this story, but this might be a bigger story every day as we go forward. The new ratings gathering technology, methodology, and how it affects wrestling. But there's AEW Dynamite, record low rating for the show.